Welcome to ConCensis, a podcast from Censis Technologies.
I'm so excited because today we'll be speaking with Yves Theodule, winner of the 2023 CtUC Kevin Bevel Leadership Award. Today we'll be discussing his accomplishments and what steps he took to get here. Welcome, Yves. It is great to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you were the winner of the Kevin Bevel Leadership Award this past year at CtUC, and I just want to say congratulations. And I'm super excited for our conversation to discuss everything you've been doing in your department and in your community. So to start out, could you just give us a brief introduction and talk a little bit about the role that you hold right now?
Sure. My name is Yves Theodule, as you said. I've been in the field of sterile processing for probably this year will be 33 years. I've really enjoyed sterile processing, and I'm currently working at Advocate Christ Medical Center. I've been here for 10 years, and I enjoy every bit of the sterile processing.
So can you tell us a little bit about your team at Advocate Christ and what a day in the life looks like for your department at your facility?
Sure. So I have a total of close to 50 teammates. We cover two sterile processing, one operating room has 29 ORs and the other side has 12. And we also cover 2 GI lab. And I have the most wonderful team that I've had in my career. It's a great environment, great place to work. I enjoy, just coming in and sharing this moment with my team here at Christ.
Wow, it sounds like you guys stay pretty busy, and I'm glad you have enough team members to keep up with all those ORs. Holy buckets. So when it comes to your sterile processing team, what would you say your leadership style is?
I would say that leading with the heart. With our industry now, it's very hard to have leaders lead with their hearts because we're right in the middle of very difficult days. Procedures are taking place. It's busy. All sorts of obstacles that you have to overcome. So sometimes as a leader, we forget to lead with our heart. We forget that we have individuals with family, people that has children. We forget that some of those folks have issues. They have problems. And, leading with the heart, I think, is caring for your team, not just about the work, but it's important to care about, their outside life, what's going on. It's important to know your team, walking through the department, how a teammate answer the good morning that you say to them. You should be connected enough to know when something is wrong.
Yes.
I don't think you should be one of those leaders that, you can hear something is wrong, but you can't, you just don't feel it. You're not connected enough. And I think it's important that, a leader stay connected to get to know their teammates and care for them. And it's important to stop. I know it's busy, but it's important to stop and say, hey, what's going on? Is there anything that I can do, to help you figure it out today? Whatever the issue may be. Sometimes it's just sitting there and listening. Sometimes it's just sitting there and not saying anything. You know, we practice the 80-20. You listen 20%, you listen 80%, you talk 20% of the time. And people appreciate that. You make that connection. When you make a connection with your team, it goes a long way. I think it's hard to throw someone that you care about under the bus. It's hard not to do your work if you care about the person. You know, that's I think that's how I try to lead with my heart.
I have to say that's an excellent model of leadership, in my opinion. So one of your focuses that was part of your nomination for this leadership award is to encourage your staff to earn their certifications in sterile processing. So, and you have led by this example. You put your money where your mouth is. And so, why do you feel that certification is so important in our industry today?
Wow. I think certification is super important. It proves that the technician's skills is up to date. Um, you want to have a team that's well knowledgeable about the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
Once they understand the work, then the quality of the work will increase. It's not just the quantity that we're looking for, but we look for the quality also. So
Hmm.
if you want quality work being produced, I think certification is where you go. You lean towards that. And it's not just getting a certification just to get it. You have to be able to retain the knowledge. You have to be able to recall the knowledge once it's needed. So once the technician is certified, it is our job as a hospital to keep them up to date with competency, with training, keeping up with their knowledge. If you have a certain issue in a department like bioburden in the OR, holes in trays, whatever it is, we refer back to our manual and train, and retrain. It's important to educate. Sometimes it's the lack of training that's causing some of the hardship in the department.
Yep.
I remember a time one of our technicians at another hospital kept putting assembling the chest retractor upside down. It's like, what's going on and why you keep doing it? And it wasn't until we demonstrated, we showed them how the
Hmm.
chest retractor is used, that she was able to grasp that, and it
Hmm.
never happened again. Once a person understand why they doing what they doing, they improve. So certification is very important. And as you said, I challenge my staff to get more certification. We have here probably 90 something percent, more than 90% are certified in the department, and 28% of them have more than one certification. So it's important. And as you said, we have to lead by example. As a leader, don't just speak it, show it.
Yep.
So I have to lead by an example. If I request for you to get a certification, I will do the same too.
Well, it's still great that even though it's not required to have the endoscope certification, you're still giving them the hands-on opportunity to learn. Uh, where I previously worked, it was not a requirement also, but sterile processing and endoscopy were all under our singular umbrella. So everybody rotated once you were trained well enough in endoscopy, everyone was rotated through on a schedule. So I reprocessed endoscopes for 7, 8 years before I had my certification. And I can tell you that hands-on experience really, really helped me with taking the exam, because I would read a question and be like, I have a real world application, knowledge for this. It's great. So that's awesome that you're giving your team that opportunity as well. Speaking of your team, are there steps that you have taken to grow your department's teamwork? You mentioned that you are a leader who leads with his heart. So is that something that you encourage with everyone, or are there activities that maybe you do with your team to help them just bond and make the workday better?
We do just some basic things. Every day we have huddles at 7 a.m., 3 p.m., and 11 p.m. Everyone stop in the department and you leave your area. So you leave in prep and pack, decontam, all of your area, and we have a huddle room where we call it the command center. So now you have teammates that's reporting out what they've done for the day to the team that's coming in. So we create opportunities. So we played games. We've done different things just to try to engage the team and help them understand the work better. One of the things that I have in mind that we've done, um, it was really interesting. So I purchased two of the operation games. The old operation game where grab the forcep and not touch the side, take it out. So I decided to have a, contest. I'm super competitive. So I put some money down on the table and say, okay, we need team A and team B. So whoever can get all the body parts out of there first wins the money. So we started the timer and it was on. Team A is going in, pulling out, the body parts, not touching. You can tell it's intense. People are nervous and, they're yelling. And then team B started to go in and they realized that the forcep is broken. One piece of the forcep has been cut. So I cut the tip of it. And now they're panicking. They can't get the pieces out. And the time is running out. And then I started talking in the background saying the patient is on the table. We have to save the patient. Both patients are trauma patients. So now the tension in the room is going up for one team and the other team is just winning.
Yeah.
And team B runs out and found a forceps and started using a forceps to replace it to pull it. And the purpose of having that type of, fun game is, one, we want them to be engaged, but two,
Hmm.
the message behind it was when we send up a surgical instrument to the operating room, this is what the surgeons are feeling, the technicians are feeling, the pressure is on, and we have to provide excellent quality surgical instruments for our surgeons to do their case. So even though team A won, both team actually won. I ended up
Hmm.
buying lunch for the entire group, and everybody was happy. It helped, catch a message, doing something fun.
That is such a great idea. I love that. I hope everyone who listens to this episode runs out and buys two operations and then starts this with their team, because it's so critical for sterile processing professionals to understand what our customers, the OR, or if it's clinics or whatever, what they feel in their moments, whether they have a complete instrument set and it's going great and they're winning and they're on top, or they've got a broken forceps and they're scrambling and they're freaking out. That is fantastic. That is an excellent idea. Kudos to you.
Just thinking outside the box on how we can, help our staff. They go to the OR, they watch surgical cases, but
Mhm.
to place them in that environment, I think the money kind of helped.
Yes.
They wanted
Yes,
to win.
Follow-up question. Do you have any advice for people who want an educator in their department and they're not really sure where to start? Some information maybe they should gather when talking to their human resources department about building that job position, and then any advice on hiring to make sure you find that person who might be the right fit.
Um, so number one, when we when we're speaking to either the HR team or your one up, uh, try not to bring them a problem without a solution. So if you're going to request for an additional FTE, make sure you've done your homework. Work out the numbers. If you have additional FTEs that's been lingering around and you have not used it for a while, offer to give that up. Sometimes it's okay to give a point 0.5 away in order for them to give you a point 0.5, and you can create a 1.0 position with that educator position.
Mhm.
Be flexible. Um, do your homework. Bring the right information. If you have to, use another hospital, a sister hospital, or call your colleagues and get information on what they use
Mhm.
to present to their one up. Um, the second question that you asked was about the how do you select the right person. That's very important. So to select the right person, going through that interview process is super important.
Mhm.
And I encourage the leaders to to yeah, I know most hospitals, yes, they give us a list of questions that we should be asking, and
Mhm.
um, we will follow that. However, use follow-up questions to to dig in deep to find out who
Mhm.
that person is. Do they have the right personality? Do they have the right heart to do this job? It's okay to ask scenario questions. In
Mhm.
this scenario, what would you do?
Yeah.
The close-ended questions, stay away from them. The yes and
Yeah.
no's, those have been expired years ago. So be creative on the right type of questions to ask.
Okay, Eve. So we've talked about specifically your department and how you've grown them and fostered them into being better technicians and educated them. How have you encouraged your team to collaborate more with other departments? And how important is it to have that collaboration with the other teams in the perioperative loop?
That's an awesome question. Um, it's very important. The team here, I can use this team here at Christ. It is such a tight team, and it starts with, you know, your one up. It starts
Mm-hmm.
with you.
Yep.
Um, so my one up, she cares so much about her team, and she's built this team around her. that we care about each other. So the OR, my one up is she is the executive director of sterile processing. I don't know if I'm
Hmm.
allowed to, say the names, but she's great.
Yeah.
She built her team in a way that um, we collaborate with each other very well. She's when she's hiring someone, her entire team is interviewing. So not only if we're hiring the manager for the OR, the director of the OR is interviewing, the executive director of perioperative is interviewing, the business director is interviewing, the
Oh my
sterile
goodness.
processing manager is interviewing, the EBS supervisor is there interviewing. I mean, her entire
Wow.
team comes around, and we all have a say so in the interview process. So here we are, as we bring someone in, that person remembered Eve was part of the decision making to bring me here. So
Hmm.
right away, there's a relationship that's already formed there. And then she likes for her team to come to sterile processing and spend the day. She doesn't care who it is, whatever position, you're gonna hang out in sterile processing and learn the sterile processing way. And the same
That's
for
great.
the leaders in sterile processing. So we form a great team. So to answer your question, having build a relationship like that, it's hard to throw your friend under the bus. It's not. I'm not gonna point my finger at the director of the OR, the manager of the OR. We not
Hmm.
gonna do that to each other. We can find answers, and that's how it is. That's the environment that we've created. If
Hmm.
there's a problem in the OR, I'm there. The director of the OR is there, the manager of the OR, and we're in the room together. Surgeons going off, that's okay. We will solve this problem together. It was Eve's fault. It was Eve department. That set this tray up. I'm not like that. It's never one of those. It's because as I said, we learn to care about each other. It's important to do
Ah, that segment right there just needs to be blasted into the universe and played on a loop.
that.
Um, that you hear about this. It's like a stereotype how like the OR versus sterile processing and how they're clashing all the time. But like you guys have looked at that scenario and said, it's not for us. We're actually going to be a team for the betterment of each other and our patients, and that is fantastic. That
uh,
is that's the model, everyone. That's the model to go by.
yeah. I wouldn't dare think of going to my one up to talk about one of my team. Just like, okay, let's bring her in. Let's talk about it.
Yep.
We
Yep.
have to.
Solve the problem right there with that person in a respectful way. That's great. Okay, Eve, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Uh, kind of segue away from uh, how building up your team and building up your OR relationships. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the March to Zero initiative that helped your team win the Healthcare Purchasing News SPD of the Year back in 2018. What is that initiative? What did the collaboration look like?
Yeah. Well, March to Zero. It didn't come from me. It wasn't my idea. It was actually my president at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of relationship, dear Lord, our president have a great relationship with sterile processing. Our vice president, great relationship. I mean, we have pictures of them coming into the sterile process and surprising them with, gifts and cookies, candies, and stuff.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
it's like we get a lot of attention here in sterile processing. Unlike, I've worked in a lot of hospitals, but we get a lot of attention here at Christ. So it was his idea uh, to march to zero, and my one up, Katie Sephora, she was like, we need to raise the bar and see what happens. So to, they kind of kind of worked on my uh competitive side, and once they set that goal to march to zero, that means we were shooting for zero quality defects, zero bioburden, zero missing instruments, zero critical instruments. The list went on and
Oh
on and on.
my goodness.
So we were marching to zero. So we came from, a pretty bad place. We were struggling like some years ago. I would some years ago, way back. And when we um, got the challenge, we started working on it. And once we noticed that the more we challenge our staff, the better they got.
Hmm.
Um, and we kept meeting those challenges. The hardest thing for us to do was the march to zero for IUSS. We didn't think we can get there, but with the help of the C-suite, they were able to give us the right resources to be able to achieve that. And sure enough, we came from a very high percentage of IUSS, and we started hitting zeros for this month, zero for that month. And now the standards for our IUSS, if it's something one of a kind that drops on the floor, you have to go through multiple approval layers before that item is processed. Now we do have in mind that there are critical times, and uh,
Hmm.
there are trauma. We think about all of those things, and
Yes.
sure enough, we were able to meet some of those goals just by our C-suite and our executive director raising the bar, and we started meeting those. Then the thought came from us being at the bottom. We start to climb up, and we're like, wait a minute, we could probably apply for this sterile processing of the year award
Hmm.
and win, because now we were confident. And sure enough, they
Yeah.
requested a lot of information, and we were number two in the state of Illinois in 2018 to win that award in 30 years.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like you guys are just cruising along uh, on an upward trajectory, which is very cool. Alrighty. So we're actually going to segue outside of the sterile processing department because part of the information given from your nominator for the Kevin Bevel Leadership Award speaks about how you serve your community as well as your sterile processing department. So you are a pastor in your community, yes?
Yes.
Which is, it seems like you just have kind of a bottomless well. That's my impression when I read your nomination. And so, what can you tell us about your interactions within your community and how maybe you bridge that with your sterile processing self, with your pastor self, I guess you could say. I don't know if
Uh,
that's too complex of a question. If I could,
no, I understand the question. So, well, some of it. Um, well, it's going to be a selfish answer, but
I don't believe that for a minute. I don't
I mean,
believe it.
thought, I thought, in a way where I was always struggling with filling positions at every hospital that I've worked in. It's always been a challenge filling those positions. Can't find technicians.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know, what an opportunity it would be if I can teach sterile processing in the community. So I started teaching it, teaching sterile processing, and it was free of charge to anyone who was interested.
Hmm.
And it started, you know, snowballing, and the word got out in the community. So actually, one time we opened up, and it was over 100 people in line to learn sterile process, and we had to lock the doors. We were
Oh my goodness.
someone actually posted it on social media, and so long story short, it's been 14 years of teaching sterile processing and hiring some of the students uh,
Hmm.
right out of the sterile processing class that I teach. So I don't give jobs away; they have to earn it. They go through the interview process, but the ones that are top in the class and
Hmm.
tell their personality is right, the engagement in the class is well, and they have, you know, great score. So those guys, I challenge them with an interview, and I've hired quite a few. Matter
Nice.
of fact, other hospitals started to hire out of that class, and right now we probably have one of the more successful schools in Chicago that we source other hospitals. So while we helping the community, we're helping ourselves. So at the hospitals with the need that we have um, in sterile processing, filling FTEs.
I mean, your answer was spot on. Was great. Not selfish at all. I don't think. It. I mean, technically, you're like, hey, I need people, and so I mean, but it's still pretty. It was pretty great thing to do for not only your facility but others in the area, and then the people who are interested in this as a career, because I see all the time on the internet people, maybe they maybe they went to school and they can't get into a facility, or they didn't go to school but they're interested in learning, but the only thing in their area, there's no hands-on platform in their area for them to learn, and they can't just learn by reading the book. So it's it's a great need everywhere, and the fact that you initiated that in your area is fantastic, and you had such great response from your community, like 100 people, holy buckets.
Now we
So
limit it to 30.
you have to be able to pay attention to everybody. Oh, that's so great. Okay, so that was uh, you talking about kind of using your pastor platform to help your community grow, which is fantastic. So, Eve, one of the accomplishments or recognitions that was brought to Census attention with your nomination was that you create plaques for the Health Digest Service Excellence Value Award that is distributed to you, a team member, every year. So can you tell us about that award process and how you maybe choose your winners and how it uplifts your team overall to have that recognition on a routine basis for them?
So this was created probably about 16, 17 years ago. A team of sterile processing techs and a couple of vendors. We were brainstorming how we could recognize our sterile processing team, and
Mm-hmm.
we created what is called the Savvy Award, SEVY, and it stands for Service Excellence Values, and then the person, you as a technician. So we wanted to recognize them, and we created this award, um, and we give it out every year to a technician that is represent that is most well-rounded, that represent the sterile processing tech. So we use the job description, we use their what is it? The
Their like evaluation, their
evaluation.
yearly.
Okay, yep, we use the evaluation to look at that individual to see who best fit. So usually I end up with um, 5, 6 people, and then I have to narrow it down. And that plaque is, we use some surgery. I don't have a picture, but you can see we use a surgical instrument that is on there. It's actually, I use an actual beyond repair surgical instrument that's broken,
Mhm.
and we weld it on the plaque, and it's a really, really nice plaque. It's presented to the technician. Matter of fact, so many people get involved in the hospital, like the president. He comes, vice president comes, the infection control team comes. The entire group shows up just to support that one winner, and no
Oh,
one
that's
knows
awesome.
who the winner is until that day, when it's revealed. And I also make sure that it costs me something. It's not just a plaque. It comes out of my pocket, where I've purchased, and those are the winners on the back of the wall. So we have a total of seven, 7, 8 of them. That, well, it's a little more than that. But here at Christ, it's about 9 that won uh, that award, and so that's 9 very big screen televisions that uh, I purchased and gave away. So I make sure that it's something of value comes out of it, for the technicians, just to recognize them. Um, one year, somebody won a trip somewhere, so it's been
Wow.
it's been fun to give that award out. Um, this year, we decided to give that award out during perioperative week. So that's coming up. We haven't given it
Yep.
out. That's when we're going to get that.
That is that's excellent. That's incredible that you and your leadership, all the way up to the president, celebrate our little sterile processing technicians who most of the time go unrecognized. This is incredible.
And last 2 years, we gave it out to a sterile processing tech, and also someone that we feel like support sterile processing so much, we wanted to recognize them. So the first person that won that was my boss, Katie Sakura.
Mm-hmm.
First time in 16 years, someone outside of the technician won it. And last year was Dr. Bayless, who is our chief of surgery.
Huh.
Very, very, very supportive. I don't have words to explain him. He's just, he is sterile processing. He understands. He cares. It's like, I don't know. I have no words for that man. It's the hands
That
out of all the hospitals, he stands out very, very much on how he. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't challenge us. He holds us accountable because he still
Mhm.
do things. At the same time, he do it with a lot of care. So
Mhm.
great, 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 great.
Okay, well, we are coming to the end of this fantastic conversation. And I was just wondering, do you have any words of wisdom that you could pass along to somebody who is looking to improve their team's relationships or their dedication or their growth? Just any general message for anyone out there looking for inspiration that you could provide?
Sure. Don't be afraid of a challenge. Um, it's okay to have outside eyes to come and look at your department. Use it as an opportunity to grow, to
Mm-hmm.
learn. Um, don't be afraid of saying I don't know. Don't be afraid of asking questions, asking for help. It's okay. Uh, I don't know it all. I learn from other people. I've traveled throughout the country, looking at their different sterile process and different process. That's all of those people, all of those sterile processing that I just put together here at Christ, and it's okay to do that. It's okay to use each other as as a knowledge base to build your department.
Excellently said. Um, and thank you. It has been great getting to know you and having this conversation with you. Thank you for being a part of the sterile processing community and a guest with us here with Census. Thank you. That is awesome. That your infection control, infection prevention team um, made that leap to better understand the industry and to better be able to audit you because they'll know what to look for now.
They sure do.
They're going to give DNV a run for their money the next time. um, but that is great. That is a fantastic challenge. That I've only I personally am only aware of a handful of infection preventionists who have that interest in our industry to combine their knowledge with our knowledge, and kudos to that team at your facility. That's great.
Great.
Yeah. Next thing you know, your president's going to be in your class. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And then you get to throw him in decon. Or her. Oh, well, thank you, Yves, for this great conversation. This wraps up our time today. So, for those of you listening, thank you for joining us for another episode of ConCensis Podcast. If you want to hear more from Census, you can go to census.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you know when we post more excellent conversations like this one that we just had with Yves. So we will see you next time.